On June 16th,
It'll be okay.
2016, a security guard in Utah picked up something on an
I got
old
iced
AM
tea and I
radio
got freeze
that
dried
would go on to be one
edamame.
of the creepiest pieces of audio in recent internet history.
This looks cool.
The guard's name was Cody Erickson, and at the time he had been working a swing shift at a bank management building somewhere in Utah. Inside the security office was an old AM/FM radio that belonged to his supervisor. And since Cody had already finished his tasks for the night and was just waiting for the next guard to come in, he started turning through the AM stations to pass the time. Most of what came through was exactly what you'd expect from an old radio late at night. But then, somewhere between a sports station on one side and an old music station on the other,
they got any
Cody
flavor?
heard a woman crying.
Liquid Death, please sponsor me. Or just talk to me. I just want to talk.
He tried adjusting the dial multiple times, hoping to pull the signal in more clearly. But each time he moved it, the broadcast either faded into static or got buried underneath one of the nearby stations. Still, what little came through was disturbing enough that he pulled out his phone and started recording. In the audio, the woman sounded like she was pleading with someone to leave her alone. And at one point, she mentioned 2 children.
I'm not going into a Roblox lobby to yell at children. No, no.
The signal continued wavering in and out throughout the recording, with her voice rising and disappearing beneath the noise.
Why would it be in an AM radio station?
And then, right at the end, the static cleared just long enough for another voice to come through and say something that nobody has ever been able to agree on.
Oh.
To most people who heard it, the words sounded like, "Rip her apart." After this, the broadcast...
I don't think it was that. I don't think it was rip her apart. Sorry, 1 second. I understand why people disagree about this. I gotta go back. I gotta listen to it. I think it sounded something like apart. Slow motion it? Yeah. Good idea. Luigi. Maybe right in the heart? I think it could have been right in the heart. Is, like, maybe it? But I don't think it's rip her apart. We'll try slightly.
Sounded like, "Rip her apart."
It could be rip her apart. And then, like, it gets, like, more disturbing. But I don't know. It sounded like a very... Not in a rude way. I'm really not saying this in a rude way. But, like, a feminine man or, like, an old lady. And again, like, if this is, like, your thing and, like, you were murdering random women and you're like, oh my god, how could she say that about me? I'm not trying to make you sound... It's not on purpose. It's not on purpose. It's 100% saying porcelain zipper. Hit this cart? I don't think they were saying hit this cart. Life can be hard. Life can be hard, I think, is the winner.
After this,
No, they said apart at the end. They said apart. Maybe 4 days apart? I don't think it's rip her apart, though. It sounds like it's saying 4 days apart. 4 days apart. I don't think it's right in the heart. I think breaking her heart? It's definitely something apart. But it sounds like it's 4 days apart. Break them apart? Okay. It sounds like 4 days apart from me. Maybe they were talking about, like, removing her children for 4 days from her. Like, just like, it's only gonna be 4 days apart. Like, maybe it's like a social worker. Like, that's what sounds like, maybe. Like, it might have been, like, someone that was, like, with the police saying, like, and maybe it was, like, the police's, like, radio, like, transferring somehow to, like, an AM station. I don't really know how it works, but I think it was something like that. Like, I don't know, like, if the radio frequency would be picked up on, like, a radio with AM station. But I think right in this part...
4 days apart.
It sounds like 4 days apart to me. It sounds like 4 days apart to me. Rip us apart in the context of separation. Yeah, I think it's maybe she's going like, please, I don't want my kids to be taken away and like maybe they're just saying it's 4 days apart from your kids. We're gonna try this.
After this, the broadcast cut out completely.
I don't know.
Later checked that same stretch of the dial twice a night over the following days, hoping to hear it again, but the voice never returned.
But this is just my opinion.
Left with the recording he couldn't explain, he uploaded it to YouTube, hoping someone online might be able to figure out where it had come from. The first and probably the most comforting theory that the internet came up with was that the recording was just a scripted performance. The reason is that AM radio isn't as predictable as FM. Depending on where you are and how late you're listening, the dial can pick up all sorts of broadcasts, including old horror dramas and detective shows. So
I also had an issue like this where my treadmill was Chinese for a long time. I couldn't figure out why it was doing it, but I eventually figured out it was picking up the Bluetooth signal from like one of my neighbor's homes, and they just were speaking Chinese like often. So whenever I tried to use my really cheap treadmill, it would just start blasting out someone speaking Chinese, and I couldn't really turn it off. Like, it had no switches or, like, any buttons for it. It would just be connecting to, like, the nearest Bluetooth thing, and it would just be Chinese. You hate when your treadmill becomes Chinese? Yeah. That's weird. It was really unfortunate that the treadmill became so Chinese all the time. Like, nothing wrong with China. It's just, like, I think the people that were, like, next door were Chinese, so it was like, ever heard a cell phone on a walkie-talkie once? Radio be nuts? Yeah, so, you know. I don't know. It was a very Chinese life in its or time in its life? Yeah. My weights were Russian for a while, so I buy it. Yeah, it was not ideal. It's just, I couldn't really exercise as much as I would have liked to, because it was, like, odd that it would just be Chinese. Like, eventually we had to start, like, plugging, like, a headset into it. Like, the roommates I had at the time, one of them had a broken pair of headsets, so we'd have to find that whenever anyone wanted to exercise, so, like, they could plug that into there, and then it wouldn't make, like, these, like, because they were always, like, just having a conversation in Chinese. So, like, 90% of the time, if you went to go exercise, it would just have a random Chinese conversation. And it's not like we were trying to listen to people, it just happened. So it was, yeah. Was I obsessed with spreading communist propaganda? Probably not. I'm not sure. It was the CIA listening? Well, they did it very poorly because I could hear them. But I guess they did it well because I couldn't understand them.
Oh, according to this theory, Cody
it was an auto-pairing
thing.
Yeah, it was really stressful.
The crime woman was just an actress, while the distorted signal made the performance
I thought it was haunted at first, but
too real.
Yeah.
Some other users also suggested that it could have been a drive-in movie theater leaking its
Chinese
audio
hit drama.
The
oh.
For those who don't know, outdoor theaters often transmit film audio over short-range radio, so viewers can listen through their car speakers.
That's so cool.
And that signal can occasionally bleed onto nearby frequencies, which would mean what Cody heard was nothing more than the climax of some horror film leaking out of a transmitter somewhere down the road. But while both of those explanations make sense on the surface, they run into two problems. First, over the years, no one has been able to identify any piece of media.
I usually watch Korean dramas, if I'm real with you.
Radio shows and horror dramas that cleanly matches the phrases heard in the broadcast.
Korean dramas are my favorite.
Most modern drive-in theaters tell customers to tune into an FM frequency, not the AM band Cody was listening on. So, while a movie or radio drama is probably the easiest explanation to accept, it still doesn't account for why the source has never been identified. But probably the biggest reason people struggle to believe the performance theory was that the crying didn't sound staged. It didn't have the rhythm of an actor waiting for a line, or the clean emotional arc of a scene written to build tension. It sounded broken and uneven, like someone who...
That's a good actress then, like... That's someone that can envision themselves in the scene and then, like, put themselves through the hurt. I like that they're just like, it didn't sound like someone acting. Thus, it couldn't have been the case.
And this led one Reddit user to suggest a very different theory. According to them, the recording may have come from a call-in
Acting like
radio
Grimmi was
show.
too scared. I am just
Possibly
scared.
one where distressed callers reached out to a church or counselor for help, and the woman might have been crying while describing something terrible that had happened to her in the past. This would also explain how the final line might have been misheard. Instead of "rip her apart," the voice might have actually said 4 years apart, which would fit much more naturally into a conversation about grief or family trauma. But without the name of the original program, there's no way to verify this theory either, leaving the mystery exactly where it started. Unfortunately, there's a much more chilling possibility of what the audio could have been. Maybe Cody was listening to something that was never meant to be broadcast. Some users pointed out that the audio
or
could
your
have been a leaked
determination will
signal
end.
from a
That's
baby
okay, as
monitor
long as you get
nearby.
back up.
Older baby monitors and wireless security cameras are
Three
known to
endings,
transmit
true.
on frequencies that nearby receivers can accidentally pick
Well,
up.
actually, like 20
And while
endings,
that
now that I
alone
think
doesn't
about it.
explain every technical detail of Cody's recording, there are real cases where this exact kind of stray signal ended up exposing something deeply disturbing happening inside a private home. For instance, in February 2004, a man in Milwaukee installed a wireless security camera in his home. But while he was flipping between his own cameras, his receiver accidentally picked up a signal from someone else's house. On the screen, he could see 2 young girls standing with their arms raised above their heads while a woman in the room appeared to be hitting them. When the man contacted law enforcement, police confirmed that his receiver was likely picking up a cross signal from another camera within a radius of about 75 to 150 feet.
Terrible, but I really hope the police got involved. I wonder if they're just like, that's weird. But, like, I mean, I guess they could, like, see the people eventually and, like, yeah. That is so sad. It truly is so sad, yes.
Similarly, in another case from the Czech Republic in 2007, a father was watching his own baby through a video monitor when the device suddenly picked up a stray signal from another home nearby. It showed a young boy tied up on the bare floor of a room. After the father reported what he saw,
I think a lot of people abuse their children and, like, don't tell other people about it. That's what I'm taking away from this.
police traced the signal to a house in the neighborhood where the child was found bound with duct tape, severely dehydrated, and being watched over by a video camera. So, with cases like these on record, the idea that Cody's radio caught a stray
What if I
feed
don't
from
want
a
piss fries? We
monitor
don't
or
make
a
them.
camera somewhere nearby isn't easy
Weird.
to dismiss. And if that's what happened, then what he was listening to may have been an act of domestic violence.
It could have
or
been.
something much worse, playing out in real time. Unfortunately,
I'll take a lettuce
without
wrap.
the
Good
original
for you,
broadcast
honey.
ever being identified, the mystery can't move past speculation. All we really have is a short
Good
2-minute
for
recording
you.
of an old radio in a quiet security office. And unless that source is ever found, we may never know whether Cody captured a piece of fiction or something far more real that was never meant to be heard.
Definitely made me think of divine intervention with people, though. Like, I don't know, like some sort of divine force going like, all right, kid, you were praying really hard. We're going to help you.
University of Arizona student named Brian Hans was flipping through
That's
the
an
campus
insane person thing to
newspaper,
do,
the
honey.
Arizona Daily Wildcat, when a strange
You're crazy.
full-page message on page 16 caught his attention. The page was filled with mathematical symbols, scientific notations, and historical references, including an
Schizophrenia.
image of Martin Luther surrounded by formulas and cryptic diagrams. At the top, it carried a simple title, Mayday 1995. At first, Brian didn't think much of it, assuming it was either
She
an
has hip
invitation to
dysplasia. I
some
think that's what
college
Oreo
fraternity
has.
or some secret club. But this
I'm glad that
assumption
your
would be
kitty's doing
proven
okay,
wrong
though,
over
even
the
if
next
she's a little
2
grumpy.
years. Because every year, a new version of the same kind of message appeared in the paper.
Detective
The
Bunny,
pages
dear
blended
Lord.
mathematics, maps,
Wow.
biblical
Glad
passages,
you're okay.
historical figures, scientific diagrams, and fragments written in Latin, Greek, Hebrew, German, and other. He spent days digging
Protein.
through
Ooh, love
decades of old
protein.
issues,
Yay.
and what he found unsettled him on 2 fronts. First, these cryptic pages weren't new. He found similar messages stretching back years, eventually tracing the mystery back to the early 1980s. Second, despite appearing in the newspaper for years, no one at the Daily Wildcat seemed to know who was behind them. The ads were simply delivered through a lawyer, leaving the real author
What?
completely anonymous. So, to keep track of everything, Brian created
This is actually very interesting. All the other ones have just been schizophrenia, act of God, schizophrenia.
MaydayMystery.org and began archiving every page he could find, hoping that if enough people looked at them together, someone might finally crack what they meant. Digging through the website, you'll find that although every issue brought a different looking puzzle, some elements kept repeating. The first and most obvious was the hand-drawn smiley face, which over the years had become something like a signature or logo for the person or people behind the mystery. A small, smirking man with 2 dots for eyes and a sly grin tucked into the corner of page after page. On top of this, Martin Luther also appeared repeatedly, either directly or through references. And so did one particular word,
Sorry, my
leitmotif.
was an
It's a
interesting
German
one for Grimmi.
word
It
that
was
means
really
recurring
cool.
theme, which is interesting because recurring themes are exactly what these advertisements seem to rely on. At first glance, it's easy to dismiss the archive as the work of a schizophrenic, a theory that has been debated for years on the internet. But after combing through dozens of them, there are 2 reasons why I don't think that theory holds up. For one, the advertisements are incredibly detailed. They pull together mathematics, history, religion.
Okay. I'm not chilling scares. I'm not saying this to like hurt your feelings. I don't know if you've ever met someone with schizophrenia. Like, you go in like they pull together mathematics, religion, things like that. This is kind of like what they like doing. They can do math. They can do math. They can make things add up in very specific ways. You just made them cry. No. But like the thing is, this is kind of like what they do. Like schizophrenia is something where like, I think like from what people understand of it, your dopamine receptors just go wild when you find patterns and like you start bridging them and cataloging them and like noticing them, like different patterns like that. So you just like, you get a charge of dopamine. You get like big consistent hits of it. So this could easily be a schizophrenic person because this is the type of person that would want to make these things. Like, these guys are saying like very odd things about religion and like the hermeneutical cycle, but rather knowing when to enter, like, and then having mathematics attached to it. Maybe they're even onto something. Maybe this all makes sense. But like, this is what schizophrenics love to do. Like, this is their thing. The right schizo in the right place can make all the difference in the world. There you go. Yes. Some sort of spy recruitment thing, perhaps? I think it's just a schizophrenic person. This is probably a schizophrenic person. I don't know. It's possible it's not, but I don't know.
For years, the identity of the people behind these advertisements remained a complete mystery, until Brian finally found the first real lead. It wasn't the anonymous author, but the man who had been submitting the advertisements
the guy that made the Mad Dragon
like years.
company. He's rolling in money.
Named Robert Truman Hungerford. Brian first learned about Robert after unexpectedly receiving an email from him. Robert confirmed that he acted as the legal representative for the people behind the advertisements. Yet, despite acting as the middleman, he consistently refused to reveal who his clients actually were. And from that point on, Brian's investigation became part of the mystery itself. He began receiving carefully scripted phone calls, cryptic mail, and packages postmarked from Las Vegas and routed through Pakistan, some containing foreign stamps and Middle Eastern coins. After he fell behind on website updates because he was sick, he even received a get well card. None of these messages were
So this was a schizophrenic person that had a lot of love in their heart and had accepted that they were a schizophrenic person, I believe. Because they used friends. And I always thought that was very cute. Like, it's friends. Like, I've always seen, like, little pictures of, like, the people with, like, cats saying friends. And they have their little kitty. Like, I always thought it was so nice. Friend.
Openly threatening, but they made one thing
What was
clear.
it a whistle for? I was never actually sure.
Whoever was behind the Mayday mystery knew exactly who Brian was, and they were paying attention to his investigation. And this naturally shifted all the focus towards Robert, because he wasn't a random attorney. He had studied at the University of Arizona, earned a doctorate in theology, became a member of Mensa, the highest IQ society in the world, and reportedly spoke several languages, including Dutch, German, Greek, Hebrew, Latin, Russian, and Spanish.
Whoa.
So when you compare his background to the advertisements with their theological references, historical figures, and multilingual fragments, it becomes easy to understand why people began to suspect he was more than just the lawyer. There's one more detail that makes the connection a lot stronger. If you pull up Robert's old University of Arizona yearbook photo, he appears to have close cropped hair, the eyebrows running almost straight across, and a faint smile, all of which looks exactly like the little smirk.
This is a stretch, dude. I was with you for, like, most of this video. Come on. Dude. Dude. Come on. Dude. Dude, come on. Dude. Come on. Dude, come on. looks like.
Man at the bottom of pages. However, he has repeatedly denied being the sole creator. Instead, he claims he was representing an organization known as the Orphanage. In interviews over the years, he described the Mayday mystery as a work of art, while also suggesting there was a real society behind it who dealt with future events. He also insisted that everything needed to understand the mystery is already publicly available on Brian's website, encouraging people to pay particular attention to its theological themes. But if the orphanage is real, no one has been able to prove who they are. Over the years, theories have ranged from a political activist group with roots in the Vietnam War era, to an alternate reality game, to a massive work of conceptual art designed to reward only the most obsessive investigators. Yet, none of these theories explain every piece of the mystery.
Maybe this is like the crossword puzzle, like every week for someone that's like schizophrenic and has an IQ of like 200.
And it's not because people haven't tried over the decades.
What's a Carrie Simpson video with a Unabomber? I have
from
not
Phoenix
actually.
to meet Brian
Or
at
Casey
a cafe
Simpson.
in downtown Tucson, carrying a thick binder of
Thank
research.
you for letting me know, though, John.
She believed the
Lemon.
Mayday mystery was connected
check
to the
him out.
Zodiac Killer, comparing symbols from the ad with ciphers
I don't think this is the Zodiac Killer. I think the Zodiac Killer wishes he was that guy.
and envelopes linked to the case. Brian heard her out, but told her he didn't think that was it. And before she left, she told him she had already sent everything to the FBI. But not every theory was that far-reaching. One of the most interesting clues came from an anonymous contributor on Brian's website who used the name Near a Terminal. Unlike most people, this person seemed to understand how at least part of the puzzle worked. For one of the earlier ads from the 1980s, the person pointed out that if you counted the brushstrokes in the Chinese characters, you got 24, and if you counted the letters in the English word above them, Richmond, you got 8. Put them together and you get 8/24, or August 24th. And sure enough, the next
I like that the Chilling Scares person can kind of comprehend what's going on because this is a little bit psychotic.
ad in the series had appeared on August 24th. However, it remains as one of the only times anyone has ever produced a clean, verifiable decode of any part of the mystery. Brian became convinced that Near a Terminal was somehow connected to the orphanage. However, even that breakthrough only cracked one tiny piece of one ad out of hundreds. And that is what makes the Mayday mystery so unsettling. Every time one part begins to make sense, the larger picture becomes even harder to see. On one occasion, Robert claimed that the mystery went back even further than the newspaper ads. According to him, the first message existed long before 1981, but in a different medium. He refused to say what that medium was, only explaining that the earlier messages were designed so that someone would have to be inside the group to even recognize them. Which means Brian's site may not even contain the complete archive of these puzzles. Nonetheless, for nearly 3 decades, Brian preserved the ads, letters, and any clues connected to the mystery. But even after all this, he never came even close to
I don't think
understanding what the
anyone could
messages
solve
actually
this.
meant. After more than 40 years, countless investigators, and hundreds of theories, the Mayday mystery remains.
I think there's only one person intelligent enough to like solve this, and it's the person making these. Like, that's the big thing. Like, maybe this all means something and maybe there's something to it, but like it might be like how people feel like when they're on psychedelics and like how they can like learn things from like different like weird like beings they meet. Like, this might be above us. Like, this might be us looking at this like a bird looks at a computer. Like, that might be it.
Unsolved.
Can you solve it,
On
Grimmi?
September
No.
12, 2008,
I can barely comprehend it. It seems like the person is trying to unlock the secrets of the afterlife.
a 49-year-old Delta Airlines
Damn
employee
you, Grimmi,
named
can solve
Charles
it. I'm
Peck
never
was on his
gonna
way to
be
Los
happy,
Angeles
Grimmi.
for
I'm
a job
sorry.
interview. The interview was at Van Nuys Airport.
Your mind ain't following this crap? I don't think anyone's is right now. Honey, if you understood all that stuff, we would need you to get, we would give you an honorary degree at any college you want, and we would get you over to the CIA, honey. If that was something where you were like, yeah, I see this, oh, okay, yeah, of course, this just means, like, it's about specifically, if you haven't been familiar with it, like how Christianity and, you know, like, other sort of religions have, like, an often, like, unnoticeable connection that often binds them together in a very specific way, though you have to also look at the time periods. Ultimately, the Messiah of many of our different religions has very, similar characteristics that could have been explained by people taking a very common folk tale and applying it to their own religious matters, or alternatively, it could have been a being that reincarnated over and over again to teach us the different meanings of what we should do with our lives in different regions. Now, if we look at this specifically in relation to Tim Allen's Tool Time in the sitcom King of Queens, we also get some information there. Now, each and every, like, theme song has its own metrics and its own timing and its own numbers and its own, like, that's how it sounds.